Yo, what's good, YouTube? Minnie here, bringing you guys on next episode, and I'm back with Sun and Muse. I almost said Muse and Sun, but Sun and Muse, aka Jerome.
Hello.
Ooh, boys. Um, and I think last time we beat some bosses. You guys heard more about the campaign. We got the Death Root. So in this one, I think I'm gonna focus on the Tree Sentinel, which is why I'm here now. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Sansui, because we kind of got off track last episode.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk, Jerome is going to talk to us about a little bit his editing style and what I think is unique compared to other D&D podcasts and games on YouTube, his battle map. So let's get right into it. Let's get on my voice, some of my jellyfish, and let's take it away with Sansui.
Heck yeah. Like I said last time, I thought that having the samurai character was a really interesting choice for the Western. When coming up with the Elden Society for our origin session that we did, I tried to stick to, obviously, some samurai tropes, but also make it feel unique and Elden in its, the way things were done. I thought it was really fun for that origin session how we kind of had you in the locker room preparing for this duel, and two of the NPCs who were very important to your background both showed up and talked to you a bit, give you a bit of a pep talk before the ceremonial event.
Yeah. So those two NPCs was my master, the drow that we talked about, that I got like lazy nature and stuff from. And the other one, that hit, was my love. So I think I want to talk a little bit more about my love and my brother. So what it actually is, my love is also an Eldrin, but she was fall, right? I think that's what we made her.
She was summer,
and I'm spring. And she was actually in not induced. What is the word? The old word for engaged.
Oh, intended?
Yes, thank
or
you.
Betrothed?
Intended. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. To my brother, to build that relationship between the two courts.
Yeah, that was a juicy detail that you brought in. The fact that the woman that your character loved growing up with was intended to be with your brother, and that they had a very formal and official relationship, but they didn't really care for each other much.
Yeah. So what it really comes down to is it was formal, but it was more the arranged marriage for power. And I want to say the big thing that I was precedent in how I was making it is our love wasn't physical and anything; it was all emotional.
Mm-hmm. Truly, just soulmates. Who never really worked up the courage to break tradition and actually be with each other.
Yeah, we saw it as we could never be together. And you'll see in the origin something happens. Should we say what happened in the origin? And part of my character development, I think it's fine.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it'll be released with the first batch of stuff. I think that's fine.
So in my origin, we have that duel that Jerome was talking about, me and my brother, that is part of our final teaching ceremony to become warriors. But also it was used as an assassination of my father.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite origin session, just because there was so much to play with there. Like you said, having the duel, I was really proud of making the duel a skills challenge, so it could just be very narrative.
I wanted to lose, I guess. I wanted to lose that skill challenge. I went in totally ready to, but sometimes, you always say, which I love, you say, the dice take it and the dice give it. And
absolutely,
in this sense, the dice take it away from me, but gave me in return. They rolled well.
I had set the DC. I thought you would lose as well. That's kind of the vibe that I had going into it. But yeah, like you said, the dice told the story. What I love about it is that it felt in game like Shunsui was ready to lose and just being evasive, and it seemed like the way I tried to describe it, because it didn't really make sense for Shunsui to win, was that kind of something in you snapped and you just absolutely
Yeah.
had it with your brother, which you gave me the idea for that because in a previous session you had
Oh,
kind of
I
played Shunsui as
literally,
losing his temper.
literally one of my favorite moments so far. Also, I just beat the trees into the first try. Hell yeah.
That's so funny.
I was ready to fight him like this whole session.
Yeah. Like 6 minutes in and you're like, well, there goes the plan.
Yeah, so
You're just too
but
good, dude.
well, yeah, the tree sentinel was just running around. Is a polite way to introduce you into mounted combat in this game. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, um, no, yeah, there was one session that literally something happened in Sunsui, and how I picture Sunsui is getting back. What it goes back to the sword style I I use.
Mm-hmm.
So so I use how I'm like how I describe it and stuff is my two sword style is more defensive. So when I use both my swords, I'm using it as a more defensive. I have defensive duelist, so I can use my reaction. I think I have it right. I'm almost positive I
Yeah, you
do.
chose that as your bonus feat after
Yeah,
y'all finished Arc 1.
leveled up. Yeah. So I can add my AC, use my reaction to add to my AC because I have two for my defense and stuff. Um, and then my sword, which is my family sword, has an ability to for my defense as well. That we
Oh,
unlock later on.
that was such a cool idea. I love because the Moonblade is like famously kind of a pretty big D&D weapon, but I
Mm,
love kind of the compromise that we found where you had the idea of Shunsui having it as the family weapon, and I'm like, that's perfect. He'll just unlock the extra abilities as he gets stronger, you know?
yeah. I think I'm gonna head and we're gonna go find patches in this game.
That son of a gun patches.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I had that idea, like, cause well, that was back to a little bit more that we get into more later on is all the because I'm melee, all the other characters are upgrading their. One second, I'm about to sneeze. You know what I'm about to say, right?
Yeah. Everyone is upgrading their firearms, getting better guns, and more firepower. And Shunsui definitely needs something to keep up with this gun game.
Exactly, yeah.
Which, yeah, which you've
Which
been doing a
led me
great
to
job of.
the sword. So we made my family sword mean more and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my number one pet peeves as a player is when I have this cool item that means a lot to my backstory, and it's
And
like as
it
soon as
doesn't
I
know
get a
more.
reward. Yeah. Well, it's like when it's time to get a reward, they're just like, here's a new item, and I'm like, no, like my whole backstory is
So it's
surrounding this
involved.
item.
Yeah. You also get invaded here, so I'm gonna take care of this invasion as well. Um,
Heck yeah.
and hopefully this one goes better than the last invasion from the last episode. But no, yeah, exactly. So me making that sword, especially we decided that like the sword is for my family's. It needs a little bit more than just I can get a new sword or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And the powers of the Moonblade are just I feel like it makes sense for them to keep adding up onto each other.
It also
We kind of
makes
have
sense
it
very much for an elf sword. I
right?
think
Yeah,
because
it's no good.
I already took care of the invasion. Yeah, a knight sword that's a elf sword. It really fits.
Yeah. I feel like oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, I want to incorporate it more into the story because we have had Shunsui compared to all the rest of the characters has had more like memories and flashbacks to specific people, or like, you know, your master speaking to you. And I
Mhm.
kind of like the idea, I guess I'm pitching this idea to you right now, that Walumi's soul is actually in one of the gems, like along the blade, and maybe
Oh,
even Katine's soul might be in one of those gems as well. I don't know. Because I know the Moonblade in lore holds the souls of its previous owners, but I think we could change
yeah.
that around a little bit.
And it's just um quick note is these bells here, guys, will set off an alarm that will bring a bunch of people to come fight us. So, and I hit them anyways. Um, so yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk more about that idea and what we can think to it.
Yeah, we don't have to go into that right now, but that was something that because I feel like Shunsui is the most haunted by the spirits of his past
Well, that's why
compared to anyone else.
back to what I was talking about last session is I want to. That's kind of why I want to go to Ghost Town.
Perfect. Honestly, Ghost Town might be a perfect explanation for that thing of like, oh, there are some souls that are tethered to this blade.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's just a thing, you know, that whoever wields the blade, like those who were closest to them who have passed, continue to communicate with them.
Exactly.
Heck yeah.
But we were talking about, so that fight I was prepared to lose with my brother. But back to the snapping. In that one session, I changed my fighting style to a one sword, and I one-handed my katana. And when you one-hand the katana, it becomes a D10 compared to a D8. So
Yeah.
I used that as more of a attacking stance compared to my defensive stance in my two-handed style. So that's
Yeah,
back
that
to
was
you
such a
talking
cool
about the
moment.
snapping. Yeah, that's literally one of my favorite moments I have done too.
Yeah. Where you lost your cool. Well, and like I said, that session had just happened when we did your origin session. So it actually made sense. In my mind, I connected the dots and I'm like, it really only makes sense for Shunsui to win this if he snaps again, if he has that moment of losing his temper.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was such a fun fight. I actually like had not really planned that to be a fight. We didn't even roll initiative. We kind of just fell into it. The one with Weston.
Exactly. But yeah, so my love is all emotion. So after the assassination of my father, you pick up me and my love leave because my brother is becoming a warlord tyrant. And it was just not safe for us. So me and my love leave, and that's kind of how we start the Boomtown. Is well, even after her death at this point, and I'm pretty much still on the run.
Yeah, I remember because I believe what happens between that origin session and the opening of
Patches is
Boomtown.
kicking my butt right now. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, that'll happen. Is that you flee or you're exiled, something along those lines. She contracts deadly illness, and you.
Well, we never
go
got
out
into
alone.
her fully yet.
That's true. We'll save that. I do have that planned for some sort of vision or something to kind of learn about that. But we're at about 14 minutes here. Did you want to hop into more of like the editing side of things?
Oh yes, please, thank you.
Heck yeah, you good. I know you're fighting Patches right now.
Yeah, I just defeated him.
Yeah.
Well, I did he's now talking to me.
Yeah. Are you gonna finish him off or?
No, I'm gonna keep his story going. So just quickly for people who are watching, Patches is a recurring character in every FromSoft game. So he is a coward and trickster. But yeah.
Well, what do you know?
But no, yeah. What I really us talking and watching some of the episodes that you have already edited that are not posted. Your battle map and your way you do in combat is really cool. You are using Telspire, right?
Yeah, I'm using Tailspire in kind of a non-traditional way. I'm trying to use it to recreate all the fights that we do, but in a kind of a cinematic way, like trying to recreate shots of like a Western
Those
Yeah.
retired soldiers turned bad.
Yeah, I remember the one I was watching was heading into one of the big combat, and it's also the one that I had. There's been a few times that Sunsui had like a real anime moment, and that was the one that I moved like 200 feet in one move.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like
Well,
jumping and face stepping, but that's the one when I
yeah.
think of it like your battle map, I just know is gonna be like, whoa.
Don't forget to
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, what I loved about using Tailspire and about using that stuff is like you all really love to run with the different levels and stuff. Like it was I remember everyone was like, holy shit. I remember Dakota was like, dude, Shunsui is so scary because yeah, you ran up a rock wall and then you like jumped and then face stepped like right in front of the guy who had been hiding behind like this rock outcropping. And I was
I will say,
literally
as we did talk about it, I did mess that up. It was one of the first, and I actioned an extra. I messed up my bonus action. Or something. I messed up something. I didn't know that, but like, oh, it's fine. It was really cool.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. No, for sure. I mean, yeah, you did move technically like further than you should have been able to, but like the
I moved an
thing
extra.
is,
I dashed an extra time when I wasn't supposed to, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good, man. But it made sense for your character, right? And I feel like I'm okay with buffing Shunsui's movement a little bit if it means that you don't have to wait an extra round to actually get to do something fun.
Yeah. So the way you are doing it, I remember also one of the first few fights when we get in that we find when we get transported to the land of fire or the plane of fire. I remember that was the first time we used it, and you could really see the layers or the levels in it.
Yeah, where y'all were at the spot where like the river ran down the side of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was fun. I want to keep trying to use. Oh no, go ahead.
How long does it take you to edit those moments? Because you are recreating, not doing it live.
Yeah. To do the recreations, it's basically those are the reason why it's taking an extra like 2 months to get out the episodes, because I decided I wanted to do it for every session. Depending on how long the sequence is, for like 3 rounds of combat, it takes me about 3 work sessions. So that could be anywhere from like 3 or 4 hours. So what? That's like 9 to 12 hours of like getting the minis that I want, setting up the terrain, getting the shots, and then going in and editing them into a little mini storyboard movie type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy when I actually think about it that way.
Yeah, because you are recreating it is insane, but like the final product looks so cool because I'm like looking at it and like seeing you doing it. It's so cool.
Oh hell yeah! Thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely like what I'm most proud of with this, because like it's just stretching my filmmaking capabilities, which I've not really played with before. But it lets me use like a ton of stuff from like my theater background.
Well, that's kind of like what I'm enjoying too a lot. So we found our first painting. Side note, we found our first painting here. So if you find this image, it leads you to some treasure. So we'll look at doing that soon too. Literally one of my favorite things is just editing the videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really fun. It's a good time. Like it's so much of D&D is like waiting around for the next session and scheduling conflicts happen, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks between games, and it's so nice to have something that's still like a creative project and D&D to like edit and work on and just pour some love into.
Exactly, I understand. Because I feel the same way with how I'm like, even though I'm not doing too much, but like that Fortnite video that I did was a lot of editing, and I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, Tailspire it also just gives it a different look compared to just like using Gold 20 or something, which I really enjoy. It looks
Yeah,
more,
getting to see everything 3D. Well, especially because it's compatible with Hero Forge, so we were actually able to port the minis over. Looks so cool.
Mhm. It's the fact that it's like that. It's just so unique compared to any other D&D podcast or game online that I have seen.
Oh, hell yeah. I certainly hope so. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna, when I go to cutting down some short form clips, I'm gonna try to mostly pull out clips that have battle maps related to it, because I think that might be something to draw people in.
Yeah. So more about the editing. Like, what is the process, or like, what are you doing in those battle maps? Are you really going turn by turn and
Oh
just
yeah,
read?
no, it's interesting. So first I like fully cut the audio or like the video to get like the bare bones of the combat to make it as short as possible, and then I literally go through and I'll listen to a round of combat and I'll figure out, okay, so this person moved here, that person moved here. Actually, I'll usually go turn by turn within the round, and I'll listen to the whole thing, and then I'll go into Tailspire and get like an establishing shot, a shot of like some movement or like where the new positioning is when people move, and then just like a couple of cool kind of moody shots, trying to incorporate some like cinematography type things.
Yeah, and that's what it's really coming down to. Is you making it more cinematic than just like, oh, here's us playing, and oh, you can hear the dice rolling. Because it's all virtual, this is all virtual, you get really more, you have to do more for it compared to those ones that people get to play in person.
Yeah, I feel like with D&D Podcast, because I'm a big fan of them and I have been for a long time, it's like you've really got like two different types. You've got like your more critical role type, which is like long form, it's mostly unedited, like you're just watching people play at a high level. And then you've got more of like the Dimension 20, like dropout type stuff where it's like highly produced, trying to cut out as much as possible so that it's like really easy to pick up and enjoy as a piece of media. And that's definitely the way I'm trying to go with this.
Run past the storm gates again. And I think it's been working. Which one?
I just said past the storm gates.
Past. I think. Yeah. It makes it very unique from what. Yeah, because like you can watch the other ones and it's like that's what they do. But they had the experience of everyone in person.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then kudos to y'all, seriously, because like everyone is so engaged and ready to play, and I know how easy it is when you're playing online to like do other stuff on your computer, but I really appreciate that everyone is pretty locked in.
Oh, this is a crucible night. I'm about to get my butt kicked.
Not the crucible night.
Watch it. That's the decent damage. Oh, I'm dead already. Okay, so this other jail will be dealt with later. I just saw it. I didn't know what it was. I forgot who was in this one. Yeah, I mean, I think compared to what I've had other sessions or other campaigns be like, this is a nice balance of the way we handle all the things, and the characters work very well together, but also have the great differences.
Yeah. I feel so lucky to have a bunch of players who like really get into character. Like you all are making choices that I never would have even imagined, and they all make a lot of sense. Like one of my favorite moments, player ideas, was when Pete, in the Arc 1 finale, Pete came up with the idea to build those pumps to set up around town. And that was just like such a cool, that it ended up being like a really fun session that was like not at all what I thought y'all would do to prepare.
And it just, those skill challenges are so unique too. Like we get it, instead of just like, oh, you can't. We have to like also think like what if the other person used, because we can't use the same
Yeah.
thing twice in a row.
Yeah. I love them because I feel like the way that I like to do them is very much like it's more a puzzle and a narrative driven puzzle, because it's like, well, what am I good at and what would make sense and would help in this situation? And then, yeah, like you said, like, okay, I can't use the same thing I used last turn, and I can't use the thing the person before me used. It's as close
I
to
mean,
like a puzzle as I do.
well, yeah, because there's definitely times like I plan my turns ahead, and then someone else uses the same thing that I was about to use, so I have to rethink about what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I especially like using them for travel, which I think I'm going to establish a rule going forward that, like, if you're traveling to a place you've already been to, we won't do a skills challenge because y'all already know how to get that. Or if it's like a
angry
well...
jellyfish.
Oh no, or it's like a well-maintained road, like y'all probably wouldn't
Uh-huh.
have to, but you did for the one because it was like truly roughing it, navigating
New.
through the wilderness.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I think this is where we are gonna be heading off as soon as I find a grace site or something I can invest at with it. I want to thank you for hopping on, Jerome, spending some time, and I'm having a blast with the campaign. So I know we are going from this recording right into that recording.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you for having me on here. And yeah, this is really fun. It's really, I will talk about this for hours. So anytime.
Exactly. So look, remember guys to go. His channel description is down in his channel is down in the description. Go give it a subscription and check out for Halloween when the campaign drops.
Heck yeah.
And make sure you cheer for your favorite samurai on there.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, bud.
Yeah. Well, remember guys to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Peace.